see. We're gonna try streaming today with the GPU doing the work for us. GPU is gonna be the work mule today. MacBook, use up MacBook. I do the work, beard man. You're the man now, dog. You're the man now, dog.
You're the man now, dog.
You're the man now, dog. Alright, let's see. What the fuck is going on here? I guess. Alrighty. Yeah, stream's still going. That's good. It's kind of worried stream wasn't going, but still solid.
Going?
I don't know. Where is the stream going? Where are you going?
South.
For the winter.
For your mama.
Shut up. Alright, so on the docket today in the iPhone court, we have a case of the Touch IC, which Apple claims is because their customers are far too rough with their phones. But for some reason, every 6 Plus has this problem. So everyone must be super rough on their phones. Everyone. Everyone's out in the streets just taking their iPhone 6 Plus and slamming it on the ground out of pure hatred for iPhone. So, we've got 2 more 6 Plus Touch ICs. I got a couple more boxes to open, so I'm not sure. There may be more in there. Who knows? I know I have at least 2 more coming. We did an iPad mini, or no, we have an iPad Air here. We're waiting on a callback that has charging issues, but this one is the charging port. We've already tested the port by putting pressure on it and it works. We try resoldering it and it still won't charge unless you press on the port. So we're going to pull it out. I'm going to take a look at the underside to see what's causing that, because I don't see any disconnect in the solder joints, and we've pressed on the cable itself and the cable seems fine. So it's got to be internal to the port, and it almost makes you wonder if the pins that connect to the section where the charger slides in, if those pins are somehow broken away from themselves, which this port was extremely loose when it came in, so it makes sense why it broke, because when you plugged in the charging port, like, you could move it around up and down and all over. The 2 screws that went in from the top were actually completely loose. We actually had to tighten them back down. So anyway, on to Touch IC. Same procedure as always. This one is a untouched. This is the first time I think it's ever been out of its frame since it was put together. The stickers and everything on it were in really good shape. Like, you can usually tell how many times they've been worked on by the screw holes, because over time it just, people tightening and taking them out and stuff, you just get a lot of buildup in the holes, and these are really clean. Everything on the board looks really good. The sticker is still very tight. The back sticker is still in excellent condition, so we're going to go ahead and pull the back sticker on it. See if I can do it with my curves. My curved tweezers don't grab as well at the ends. Alright, so get our sticker off. Throw that away. So we'll clean up a little bit of residue on the chip there. Going to clean up this area. And this one has a, like, touch on it works for the most part. You just have to really twist the shit out of it and press on it and keep messing with it, and then eventually you'll get a just like a real flash, like it's a really fast flash at the very top of the gray bar. It's not consistent like some of the other ones are, so I don't suspect that this one's that badly damaged, but it is a start to the same symptoms that we see in all the other ones. Seems everything looks fine, so we'll go ahead and throw it in the board vise and pull Mason and reball it after we do our jumper. Yeah, the board is really clean. It's got one blemish on that chip, but that's not a big deal. I mean, you can probably clean it up by just so I mean it cleans up pretty well. So the board looks in good shape. Just need to remove Mason, and we'll do that now. So I'm not going to try it on this one, but I've been watching a few of the other people that do this work, and a lot of them use a much higher airspeed than I do and use a lower temperature. I don't know that that directly relates to the temperature at the actual board being any different. Maybe the offset in the higher air offsets the lower temperature. But I'm going to try it out on some of my test boards and just see how it acts and see if there's any advantage that I can see to doing it. My pull times are about the same time as everybody else's, so I don't think that it's going to make a big difference, but I'm going to test it out just to make sure. And that's what I was saying about when people ask me what temperatures you use. People are using temperatures that are like 20 degrees colder than I am, but they're using a higher airspeed. So that shows you that the temperature and the airspeed make a big difference. So it doesn't, if I tell you one number, it may not be exactly the same for what you're doing. We'll turn the exposure down some here because of the coin being reflective. Let's see, how's that picture look? Is it pretty good? Looks okay. I'm gonna test it over here and see. It's a little grainy. I may, since we're doing GPU rendering now, I may up my stream quality to 1080 and see if there's any advantage of that. The microscope that you see there is supposed to be 720p. And then the camera here that is my webcam that shows you my photo is supposed to be 1080p, but I mean it's a webcam, so. Alright, so we're up to temperature. I'm going to go ahead and put my flux down. Just a little bit on either side. Yeah, when I got home yesterday about 5 o'clock. We did a couple videos yesterday actually. I went to bed pretty early last night. I was pretty worn out. Usually I don't go to bed until about 1 o'clock in the morning, but I went to bed last night at about 10:30. So we're just heating the chip here. Just tapping the sides of it. Alright, should be almost ready to move. There it goes. Alright, so it's off. So we're going to set the chip over here to the side, let it cool. Make sure my camera focus and my vision focus are in the same. Wish this camera had an autofocus feature, but evidently $400 doesn't buy you autofocus. $400.
$400 holla.
Holla. I'm still a little sluggish today. Maybe it'll be better after I have lunch or something. Let's kick our brightness back up. See if I can see all the goodies. Alright, so just gonna load my tweezers up, and then we want to just lightly touch okay. We made a bridge over there on our trailer park row of capacitors, so I'll have to go back over and touch that up. Should be fairly simple, just a little bit of flux should allow that to come off. So the bridge that I have is right there. So I'm gonna clean my tips off. You want it to be, yeah, it's supposed to rain here today. Where are you at, Mike, that it's snowing? Alright, so you just want to come in with your tips fairly cleaned off. This should allow us to drag the solder. There we go. So we drug that one. We got another bridge over on this one too. Now if I left those bridges there, what you'll get is a vertical white line on the screen with no touch there. And that's because these capacitors do some filtering between Mason and Cumulus. And those two chips talk to each other to correspond with how the touch works and how the LCD functions with it. What's up?
I was going to try to do a software update on this thing.
Oh. You don't have iTunes on your computer?
No, I don't. I can do that, I guess. I couldn't install it.
Unsunny Northern California. What's up, Microfix? This is the class that everyone sees every day if you do this work. Touch ICs are still a big issue. I'm not sure how Apple has gotten away with not having to actually do any type of warranty claim on these. I guess when you kind of own your own company and you can just screw customers over and they don't really care. But I mean, they have an option out there, but you have to pay for it, and it's $150, and all they're doing is giving you a refurbished board that has no protections from this happening again. So in 3 months when your warranty's out and then your touch IC fucks up again on you, guess what? You get to go buy another one from them. So far we have had 0 returns since doing the jumper, and it's been well over 3 months now since we started. So I'm fairly confident to say that the fix that we're doing is permanent. Yeah, I mean, I understand Apple has brand loyalty people, but even if you're brand loyal, I wouldn't want to get fucked over and over. I mean, eventually you gotta be kind of pissed off. I guess this phone's old enough now that people just don't care. Like everybody's got a 6S or a 7 now, so. I mean, obviously people are still using these. We see them all the time. But I guess people are just like, they quantify it as I've had this phone for a while. I guess it's just not going to work after so long. We offer 30 or 90 days on these. Yeah, we do the M1 jumper. In our 90 days, before we did jumper on the 90 day, we would see quite a few of them return. Since doing the jumper, we've had no returns. Take that back. We had one come back because the chip was actually bad. The jumper itself was still there, but the chip would not, like, it wasn't working because the very bottom of the screen, the touch was real sporadic, like at the very, very bottom, all the way across. Like it would freak out. And we redid the jumper and put the same chip back on, and it still did it again. So I replaced the chip, and after replacing the chip, it stopped doing it. So that was the one we had returned, and it ended up being the chip, not the jumper, that was fucked up. Alright, so now we'll do our jumper wire. Bring that up a little more. My hands are shaking this morning. Alright, so we got our via exposed. We're going to clean that up. Get rid of the excess there to make sure that we're not causing any shorts or anything. It kind of, when you scrape that, you kind of scrape off some filings, and I don't like the copper just sitting on the board. Yeah, if you look over here to the side, it says tools and parts listed in description. So time to run a jumper wire, which is also in the description, which wire I use. What are you doing right there, Micah?
Download iTunes.
You like that iTunes, don't you?
I do like iTunes. Not.
People who like Apple are in a daze and know nothing about anything. I mean, your standard consumer doesn't have a clue about this stuff, so I don't blame them. Like, that's not something that, like, as a standard consumer, you're not like looking at something and being like, I don't like this because of the percentage failure on the back end of using the phone. Like, most people look at the phone like, I like how it looks. It seems to work pretty well. I like the interface, so I'm going to buy that. So, I mean,
Androids and stuff have their own issues too.
Yeah, Android has problems also. I mean, we have a lot of Galaxy series that have no power, and I've replaced PMIC on them. I replaced a couple other power chips on them, and they still won't turn on. And this seems to be a somewhat common issue because I've had other people say the same thing about the S6 and S7. Like, the phone just stops turning on, and there's not any real reason why. We can't really figure it out yet. I would say if you change PMIC out that it should turn on, but evidently it doesn't. So there's chip that we're missing, or some symptoms that we're missing that we need to figure out. But this is not just an iPhone issue. There's issues on all phones. I mean, you look at LG. LG had the problem with the
dead CPU in the back.
Yeah, we've got several LGs that have had issues. So I mean, it's an issue for everyone. Nobody's ever going to be perfect. I just hope, like, when LG discovered that they had an issue with the G5 and the G4, excuse me, they went out and said, okay, we have a problem with this. Send it in, we'll replace it, and give you a new phone. With Apple, they have an obvious issue, and they're just sitting there.
Give us $300.
Yeah, they're like, we need you to pay us $150 because of an issue with our design, but since we say that you're causing it, you need to pay us. Like, that's just shit. And they can do that because the standard user isn't going to know the difference there. I mean, it took over a year after the 6S came out. It took over a year for them to even say that the touch issues are a problem. And if you call a authorized service center, they don't even know that it's a replacement issue, like, or even an option for replacement. So what the model number was, let me see. Should be listed. I would hope it would be. Oh, it's not listed on the model number. Let me grab it real quick. I don't think it's listed on the scope itself, is it? No, this is AmScope. Let me get the model number and I will add that in.
New Samsung S8 gets reviewed.
Boop boo. 3.5 to 90x Simul-Focal. This one's not going to be exactly the same because I opted for different specs, but this is a similar model. So this is the base model, and then you'll have to look for other add-ons that you want, like if you want a camera or alright, so it's in the description now. It should update here shortly. But the camera and the light ring and all that stuff is a separate option. Like, you have to opt for what you want. Hold on one second. Yep. Alright. What's up, Simio? One guy uses wires from a vibrant motor jump wire and set it smaller. Mike, probably. I mean, you can use whatever wire you want. This is 43 gauge. I mean, it's the size of like human hair. I mean, if you need thinner than that, then I guess go for it. But I don't really need anything smaller than this. It works perfectly fine. Alright, so we're going to cut off our lead here. And then the only problem with the vibrate motors are, I worry because the way that the windings are wrapped around, they put a coating on them. And that coating, I'm worried, can sometimes rip the insulation off while you're unwinding it off the coil. And I don't want any bare spots that I haven't chosen to be bare. So that's why it's just a lot easier for me. Like, I bought this spool of wire for like $16, and it's gonna last me probably the lifetime that I do this business. Like, there's no way, like, that's how much wire I have. And this is, I don't remember, I think it's like a ½ pound. Yeah, it's a ½ pound of magnet wire. There's no way I'm gonna go through this and it's 16 bucks. So if $16 is making and breaking your business, then you probably need to do something else.
So I could spend this whole $16.
I mean, if you're taking the time to break a vibrate motor open and unwinding the coil, it seems like it would be just more beneficial.
More expensive than the wire itself.
No, that part's probably cheaper because you can pull it out of parts funds, but
Yeah.
it's just the effort. Like, why go through all the effort? Alright, so I'm gonna actually see if I can cut this wire down a little more. Actually, I might be able to bend it off. There we go. Grab that. Okay, so now we're going to put our UV coating on. Yeah, I know several guys that use the vibrate motor windings. I mean, it's not a bad idea. It works. I'm just saying I don't think it's worth the effort, to be honest. I mean, it's just as easy to buy a spool of wire and then use that. But there's absolutely nothing wrong if you choose to do it the other way. So that's just the way that I prefer to do it. A lot of people look down on me because I reball my chips and don't use new ones. I mean, everybody's got different strokes for different folks. So I see no problem in using a reballed chip. Some people say that they don't trust them. I have had one return, so I guess that could be their argument that since I used a used chip that it came back because of that reason, but I can live with one return if that's the cost savings for me is much larger than that wire is. So that half pound of wire is going to last me probably 20-30 years. Like, it's been 1 year and you can't tell a difference in how much we've used. And that cost, if you break it up over all those years, is like what, maybe $1 a year or something. If it lasts me 16 years, it's $1 a year. If you .10 gauge, let me see what I don't even know what gauge this is. He has 0.01 inch. Is it 0.01 inches? Because this is 0.002 inches. Or is that 0.01 millimeters? Oh, it's 43 gauge, whatever the fuck that is. Here, I'll look and see what that is in millimeters. In millimeters, that is 43 gauge. That is 0.05 millimeters. So it's pretty small. So 0.05 millimeters. 0.1 millimeter is 38 gauge. Yeah, the label on mine just it's really small stuff. I mean, it doesn't matter. Any small wire will work. Magnet wire, though, it has to be magnet wire because it's got a coating on it. If you use bare wire, you can use it, but you run a bigger chance of shorting something out. Alright, so let's clean up this chip. Put a little flux on it. Flip it over upside down so the flux is all over my table. Tip my tips up there. But back to the chip thing, the reason that I reball my chips is because the price savings to me is much greater than doing wire. So reballing, my cost is whatever this tub of MG Chemicals solder paste is, which I think it was like 30 bucks. This thing will probably last me as long as that wire will because I've had it forever and you barely use any paste. My stencil, which I bought one time, and my stencil cost me $16. Hold on one second. All right. Anyway, looks like some bling bling far away. You talking about my shine? Shine? Do you have a trick for lifting iPad mini LCDs out? Yes, Bobby. To get the LCDs out, depending on if it's a Wi-Fi or if it's a 3G model, the 3G models have tape at the very top of the LCD. You have to make sure you either cut that or remove it first. If not, you're not going to be able to get started. On the Wi-Fi models and the 3G, after you take the tape off, you need to take, we use, let me find it. So these little packaging bags, like or anti-static bags, anything you want to get, they're fairly rigid, but they're extremely flexible. So we take this and we lift a corner and slide it under, and then run that down the side, because this will give enough that it's not going to put any pressure up on the LCD, but you can cut the tape under the LCD down both sides, and then once you do that, the LCD just lifts out. So pay off fast. Right over Facebook call from something here in slow blower today. But anyway, so back to what I was saying on the so on the chips, I've got $16 in a stencil. I've got $30 in paste, and so that's about what? So $46. If you break that up over the time frame, just say a year. Let's say that my total cost, I'll use all that up in a year. So if we take $46, you're looking at what? Divided by 12. So about $4 a month, right in that range. One of these chips for me to buy new is $4.25. If I buy it directly from China, we're looking at $2.60 something cents. So in the purchase of 2 chips per month, I can reball probably. I mean, we did 140 last, was 2 weeks ago, a week ago. We did 140 and barely made a dent in my paste. So 140 chips times, even at $2, I mean it's what, $280. So I mean, I can save money pretty quick. Playing cards is a good idea. Guitar pick's too rigid. You can't get down under the. Yeah. Hold on one second. Alrighty. So, we're watching. We don't. I mean, all we use is. This is just plastic. I mean, it's a shipping bag. Like, see how it mounts up and stuff. Like, you can use anti-static bags too, but I recommend these because they hold up to the glue easier. Paper may just rip. Customer, bro. Yeah, I got it.
This is the one we use. It's mangled up a little bit.
Yeah, this is one that we've been using for a while. Just the anti-static bag. It's got glue residue all over it where we slide it through the glue. Am I muted? I'm not muted. Are you muted? You're muted. Yeah, don't tell me I'm muted. Damn, man. Anyway. So, I've got the stencil lined up. But, anyway, going back to the chip thing, you can see why that I like to reball my chips. The cost savings is humongous compared to, like, coil wire or something. There's just no point in it.
Might as well change your name to Hugh.
Hugh Jazz. Mike had never heard that one before. I'm surprised that one guy's not in here. His username is Ben Dover.
Whoa.
Ben Dover. Hugh Jazz. And then you have Mike Oxbig. Mike Oxbig.
Mike
How many templates do you think you have? Bobby, I've got one for every model pretty much. I don't have the 7. And I don't have iPads. I'll show you my bag of stencils. You know, honestly, as many as I have, I don't use many of them.
Just one.
Yeah, really. Like, this is my bag of stencils. Like, I've got iPhone 6 Plus, iPhone 5S. I've got iPhone 6S and stuff, NAND templates. I've got iPhone 6 template, iPhone 4S, iPhone 5C, iPhone 5. What else do we have in here? We've got one that I use for SMC reballing. I don't know, there's probably like 15 or 20 templates in there. Somewhere in there. And the amount I use, maybe 3. We use the other ones randomly. It's just not very common now because we just don't see those items anymore. Alright, so we're going to reflow this one. And there we go. So that chip is reflowed and reballed. So our nice balls there. We're going to reflow that again just to make sure that these are formed properly and seated where they should be, because sometimes they don't. Alright. So, looks good. Good enough for me. We actually did a 4 2 days ago? No, 3 days ago. We got a video on it. We did an iPhone 4 water damage phone. Tag SMCs all over the city with those. We use one stencil for SMC stuff. It's not even made for SMC, it's just got the correct spacing, so that's what I ended up using. There's pre-made stencils out there for the SMCs for MacBooks, but I don't have any of them. Lewis has some, but I don't. I've thought about buying them. I've seen them. I don't actively look for them, but I've seen them a couple times. So Eddie, when the pads are circular, but that's not why they form a ball. So if you look at a drop of water, the natural tendency for liquids is to form a sphere, because it's the most the shape is most uniform for the entire mass. A sphere is equal distance all the way around. So water in any type of liquid will naturally form that shape because of surface tension. Even in space, it does the same thing. It always wants to form a sphere. So when solder melts, it turns into a liquid, and it naturally wants to be in a round form. The square stencil, what that does, the advantages of that is, so if you have a square and you put paste in it, when that solder starts to melt, it pulls away from the edges and it forms a ball in the center. Well, with a standard stencil that has just a circular hole, when that ball forms, it has nowhere to pull away from. So solder actually wants to expand a little bit. So as it melts, it tends to widen a little bit and expand outward. And if you have a circular stencil, what we found is either it gets trapped in the stencil, or the stencil will, since the airflow is coming in and there's no gap or any room around the actual ball, it'll push the ball out of the stencil. So with the square ones, you get a little more solder in there, which is good to help make sure that you have a good connection. It pulls away from the stencil, so you don't have to worry about it getting stuck. And we don't see it push any of the solder out usually. So we're going to put this back on. Our jumper wire is tacked down. We got our chip cleaned up. We're going to put some flux down. And then we'll come back in, put our heat shield down. Tap it back just a little bit there. We'll place our chip. Alright, so now we're going to reflow. This will not take long at all. The leaded solder melts very quickly. It's probably, there it goes, it melted just then. Alright, tapped it. Alright, so that should be good. Make sure by pressing on the chip. Alright, so it feels good. And then always look, if you look down the board, if the chip is not level, you'll see one size raised. I always make sure that my chip is level, which it is. It's perfectly level across. Alright, so now we can go in and clean that up. Yeah, it's the Canadian currency. I've got my US coin over here. I haven't used it in a while. I usually use the US coin on the CPU because it's a little thicker, and I really don't want the CPU to get warm, so the thermal mass of that coin will help protect it a little more. I use the Canadian coin on the back side because it's got a square edge, and it lines up well with, if you see, it lines up better with protecting that chip. If I have to use the American coin, it's rounded, so I have to overlap a little further, and it causes some issues. Use GPU heatsinks. What do you mean GPU heatsinks? Like copper heatsinks? I'm not looking for anything extreme or something that's going to be in the way. I just need something that'll help protect direct heat from hitting these items. So just that little bit of thermal mass from that coin, that chip down here, I can melt mason right next to it, and that chip will never be liquid. I can never pull it just from having that coin sitting on top of it. Now, if I don't have that coin there, I can get that chip liquid while mason's liquid and cause issues. And it also helps pull heat out of the board. So on most of them, if you overheat them, the issue you're going to run into is this sticker on the front. If you get it too hot, will curl up. It'll pull itself tight. As you can see, that sticker is not affected at all, and that's because of the heat sinking and the heat that we use. It doesn't pull on that sticker at all. We see a lot of people that do these, that sticker, they either remove it because it causes issues, or they mess it up and it pulls components off center on the top side. But I've never had a problem with that sticker since I started using my temperature settings. I tried some of the temperature settings other people had suggested and did have this sticker having issues. As far as heat sinks go, we do have some here. I don't use them much anymore, but if you're really worried about it, they're a good choice. Let me see if I can find them. I don't know where they are. I haven't used them in forever. Let's see, back here. Well, I don't know where they are. We've got these little copper heat sinks that you can buy for RAM for a desktop, and we've used those in the past. But okay, yeah, Mike, you're talking about the same thing that we technically use, I guess. That heat sink's just, it's not needed. That's why I don't use it. It's kind of bulky and in the way. So the coin is fairly small. It does the job. That's really all I'm asking from it. Alright, so we're going to hook our screen back up, make sure our touch is working, and we should no longer have any issues with the flashing bar if our fix is done correct. If you do these and they are messed up when you get done, not a big deal. I've had them do the same thing. It happens from time to time. Either your reflow is off or something shifts too far or something like that. No big deal. Don't worry about it. Nobody's perfectionist in this industry. Just go back, fix your issue, and then redo it and get it working. So I'm going to, if I can keep it plugged in. This iPhone 6 Plus connector is so worn out because we use it all the time. So jumping it now. Alright, it's booting. So you can see it's booting up here. So far no visuals on the screen that show me that my chip alignment's wrong. So usually what will happen if your chip alignment's off, you'll get gray bars on the screen. Vertical gray bars. And I don't see those yet. The white screen is harder to see than the black screen, but we'll see once it boots up if they're there or not. Assuming that you know, Bobby, you know a little bit, I would think. All right, so I don't want to show their picture here. Touch is working though. It's smooth all the way across. I don't have any dead spots. When we get to the settings screen, I'll put the assistive touch on so we can show it. Alright, so let's see if you can see this a little better if it's angled down. I don't think. Fuck, I unplugged it. Anyway, so touch is working. It's gonna be a pain in the dick trying to show this. The exposure rate on the camera, it has a hard time focusing on what I want it to focus on. So check for App Store updates right away. For what? App Store updates for what? Alright, so now that we have that done, did our Kapton tape never come here? Where did we order that from, Micah?
I have no idea. I know we ordered some. I don't know. I don't think it ever came in.
We need to look at that. Have you written everything on the board?
Yeah. Almost everything. I need.
You don't have the Lenovo up there.
Huh?
You don't have that Lenovo up there.
Lenovo.
The ThinkPad that the guy dropped off yesterday.
That's right.
Mikey, you didn't order Kapton tape, bro.
I thought you ordered it.
Oh, maybe I did. I need to contact him. Maybe it's fucked up. Alright, sorry about that, had to talk. Shiny, yeah. This is Kapton tape. I just use it for a barrier between the shielding. It really doesn't do much else that I know of. It might help protect the Wi-Fi components that can sometimes get distorted by the shield being so close, but I don't know how much truth there is in that, so I just stick to that it keeps me from shorting my shield out against any components on the board, so that's a positive for me, because I don't want any of these shorting out. We've had some that before we started taping that they would short out on the shield. Okay. Yellow. What's going on? Okay. Sometimes. It's not 100%, but sometimes. Yes. No. Alrighty. Hey man. Yeah, on the 6 in the set on the 6 series I can do. I can't do the 6S's yet. Alright man. See ya. Busy day, busy day, busy day. So we've got it cut out there. It's like I said, it's a good way of keeping the shielding from shorting against the board. We have had some where the board gets, the customer bends the phone somehow and it forced the shielding down and it touched a component and caused the phone not to turn on, and we had to remove the shield and it turned back on. So Macho Man Randy Savage. Big L Dog, it's all good, home skillet. Oh yeah. Snap into a Slim Jim. Oh yeah. Snap into your mama. That's what Micah said. He said that's for all of YouTube. Snap into your mama. He said, hey YouTube, I'm gonna snap into your mama. Oh yeah. Alright, so I'm going to do this if we can ever finish this iPhone, because everybody keeps calling. Once I finish this one, I'm going to take a break for a second, eat some lunch, and then I'll be back on. Hopefully we'll know something on the iPad. If not, I'm just going to keep knocking out boards, go through more of the mail-in stuff, get most of it done, talk about whatever you all want to talk about. May watch some news and see what's going on in the realm of the Trumpster and see if they've backed themselves into a deeper corner or not. Alright, so we're going to layer shield on top. We'll put down a little flux just to get our solder to flow well. And then I just come in and set right on top of the shield, and that will actually reflow the solder under the shield and help hold it to the board. Alright, so now we'll start our journey around the board. Alright, so there's our first tie down. Heat that up a little bit. I want that to be centered. It wasn't centered down there at the bottom. I'll redo that again. Alright. That's good. That's good. That's good. Alright, so now we're kind of tacked down in place.